Hi everyone! Welcome to today's math lesson where we're going to talk and learn a little bit about fractions. I know some of you did a optional math activity before spring break about fractions, but I know a lot of you haven't even been introduced to fractions. So we're going to learn just kind of the basics today, and I will walk you through the math activity that goes along with today's lesson. So if you do it with me today, you don't have to do it separately, and then you'll be done with math for today, so that would be awesome. Okay, so we're going to start just talking about what is a fraction. Well, a fraction is a whole split into equal parts, and that word equal is really important. What does equal mean? Well, equal means it's the same amount, the same size. So if we think of a pizza, and I want to cut a pizza into two parts, I want to cut it so that I cut it right down the middle and I make two equal parts. If I cut a little edge over here and then the whole rest of the pizza is the second part, I didn't make a fraction. The fractions have to have equal parts. So here are my two equal parts of my pizza, okay? When do we use fractions? Well, you probably don't even realize you're already using fractions in some of the words that you say. So we use fractions when we're talking about time. So we might talk about it being a half hour. Well, a half hour, if we think about what that means on a clock, there's 60 minutes in an hour. And if we say half hour, well, we're talking about half of that hour, half of 60 minutes, which is 30. So you're using fractions when you talk about a half hour. We also use time like it's 3:15. A quarter of an hour would be 1/4. So if we chop our clock into fourths, and we have 4 equal parts, we're talking about the first quarter. So when the minute hand is up at the 12 and it goes over to the 3, that's 1/4 of our hour, 1/4. And so that means it's 15 minutes past the hour. So if it's 15 minutes or 3:15, it would be 3:15. So we use fractions every day in the things that we say. We also use fractions in terms of measurement. So when we're measuring food and we talk about a half a cup or a quarter of a teaspoon, you're grabbing those utensils and measuring and not even thinking that you're using fractions. And so what a fourth a cup means, it's out of a whole cup, you're only taking 1/4 of it. So if you broke that cup into 4 parts, you're up 4 equal parts. You're only using 1/4, one of those parts. We also use it when we talk about money as well. So we might say a $0.25 or $0.50. That lets us think about a dollar is 100 cents, and if we split that 100 cents in half, that's half of a dollar, right? So today we're going to go through this exercise together. So you might need to pause the video and you're going to need 3 pieces of paper. It can be paper you've already written on, it can be blank paper, but they need to be whole pieces, so I don't want them to be cut up at all. So if you need to pause and go get paper, you may do that, and then come back and play it again. So I'm going to start with my piece of paper, and the first one we're going to make, we're going to fold this paper and make 2 equal parts. There's 2 ways you can do that. You can fold your paper this way, or you can fold your paper this way to make sure that you have 2 equal parts. In order to make sure that they're equal parts, make sure your edges are lined up nicely all along the whole edge of the paper. And I'm doing this on carpet, so it's not going to be the most firm edge, but I'm going to do my best. I'm going to fold that crease, so pinch all along here. If you're at a table, that's probably the best place to do that. And then I open this up, and I have 2 equal parts of my whole. So my whole is my whole piece of paper, and now I have 2 parts. I have this part and I have this part. So on each part, I'm going to write the fraction. So this is one of the parts on this side, and there are 2 total parts, 1, 2. So this part on this side is 1, oops, wrong kind of marker. Use this purple. 1 part out of 2. So I wrote my fraction, 1 part out of 2. My total number of parts is always at the bottom. It's called the denominator. It's the bottom number. And so I've got 2 parts, so my 2 goes there, and then this half is only 1 part. So I write 1 out of 2. I'm also going to write 1 out of 2 on the other side because both of these sides are 1/2. I put them together and I now have a whole. Okay, so your assignment now is to color 1/2 blue, or any color really. I wrote blue in the directions, but any color, color just 1/2. Okay, you might pause the video if you need to do that, or you can do it when we're done. Okay, that was our 1/2. Now this one's a little trickier. We're gonna try and make thirds. So we have to fold our paper and make 3 equal parts. It's kind of hard to do. So here's what I do. I fold it over until it looks like the part I'm folding, this part, is about the same size as the part that's left. This is tricky. You might need a parent to help you with this one. So I'm going to line up my edges and I'm going to pinch down the side. Then I'm going to fold this next one over the top. And this may not be perfect, and that's okay. Mine certainly is not. So my parts are not exactly equal, but they're pretty close. So now how many parts do I have? Let's count. 1, 2, 3. And remember that 3 goes on the bottom. So I know I have 3 parts. This is one of those parts, right? So it's 1 part out of 3. So I'm going to write my fraction, 1 part out of 3, or 1/3. So this is a third, and this is a third in the middle, and the other side is 1/3 as well. So now I have 1/3 here, 1/3 here, 1/3 here. When I put them all together, I have a whole. But if I break them apart, I have 1/3 in each of these rectangles. Okay, so now I want you to go color 1/3 of this paper, any color you choose. So pick one of the thirds and color it in. Okay? Try and make sure you can still see the fraction 1/3 as you color it. Okay, last one. We're going to try and figure out 1/4. We also might call that a quarter, okay? So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to fold it in half just like I did when I was making my half. So I'm going to fold mine this way. You can fold yours the other way first. It doesn't matter. I'm going to fold it down just like that. So look, I have 2 halves. But to make a quarter, I have to fold it in half one more time. So I keep it folded, and then I'm going to fold and touch my edges together at the top. And I'm going to fold this edge now. And when I open it up, now I have, how many parts do I have? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I have 4 parts of my whole, and I can start thinking about what my fraction would be. So this square right here is 1 part out of 4. So I know this is 1/4 or 1/4. So I'm going to write 1/4 on all of my, well, these are more rectangles, on all of my rectangles, to know that each of these represents 1/4 of my whole paper. Okay? So now I want you to go and I want you to color 1/4 of these, whatever color you choose, okay? When you're done coloring on each of these, I want you to take a picture of them. You can do one picture, just set them all together on your table. You might have to get far away. You might have to put them on the floor, actually. Take a picture and post it to Seesaw so I can see it. Okay, so that is the math practice for today, learning about fractions. I want you to remember that fractions are a whole split into equal parts, and it's important that they're equal. Okay, we use fractions when we're using measurement, when we're talking about time, when we're talking about money, when we're thinking about food. So here's your assignment. This is optional. As you're eating your next meal, maybe it's dinner, maybe it's lunch, breakfast, whatever it is, I want you to see if you can take something on your plate. It can be a green bean, it can be a pancake, it can be a slice of pizza, it can be a cracker or a cookie that you're eating. I want you to see if you can make a fraction out of that. That means you're going to have to cut it into equal parts. Maybe you just want to cut your cookie in half and make 2 equal parts. And then eat one of those parts and tell mom and dad what fraction of the cookie or the green bean you ate. So if I take my piece of pizza, or I guess it's a whole piece, and I cut it in half, and I eat this one, I tell mom and dad I ate 1/2 of my pizza, Okay, so see if you could try that at your next meal. Just something fun to keep us learning and remembering about fractions as we go about our day. Have a great day!